Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. Today I am with Sri M R Venkatesh and we are going to talk about petrol prices at the pump. By petrol we also include diesel because the two are correlated. There have been news stories in media about crude reaching $100 a barrel, and I want to come out flat and say that that is not going to happen. And the reason why that is not going to be happen is going to be explained in a post that is going to come in PGurus under my name in the next day or two. So please wait for that for the explanation. So just take my word for it because I have a lot of facts that I need to bring out and I will be bringing those things out. Now, the other factor that could influence this is the falling exchange rate of the rupee vis-a-vis the dollar. Now, to talk about both these things and to talk about how the government can have a stable price at the pump by taking a few more effective measures, we're going to reach out to our expert, M R Venkatesh. MRV, welcome to PGurus channel.
Yeah, Mr. Iyer, good evening.
So please go ahead, sir. What are your thoughts on how this petroleum problem, the petrol price at the pump problem can be overall addressed from a systemic point of view?
Yeah. Let me tell you, when crude is rising vis-a-vis the dollar, you must understand the dollar is falling vis-a-vis the crude. So it is strengthening of the crude, falling dollar, and then strengthening dollar, falling rupee. So it is a double whammy as far as the Indian consumers are concerned. So first you pay because the Americans are losing vis-a-vis the crude, and then you are losing the value of the rupee vis-a-vis the dollar. So when you buy crude, you will have to actually bleed through your nose to pay a barrel of crude. That's what's happening. Now, this is part of it is international phenomena. We can't do much about it. A country which is importing somewhere around 75 to 80% of our crude requirements. I think since 60s we were absolutely stupid to go for motor vehicles. Our one of the biggest benchmarks for growth has been or I will say the biggest pathway to growth has been to leverage on vehicle sales, which is dependent on crude imports. I think we are really stupid to do that. We should have actually realigned our policies way back in 60s. But like several Nehruvian policies, we let it go, and now we are this generation is paying. But what could have been done when the crude was down? That is the most important thing. Crude was down to around $45, $50 a barrel somewhere in 2014, 2015, 2016 also. But since then it has been hardening, and we don't know what to do. What this government has done, fundamental reforms, is that we will pass on the crude prices to the consumer. It's a very good motherhood statement, well taken, well understood, and they have stuck to it. So far, so good. But people who are clamoring for lowering of taxes, or people who say that if it is shifted to GST, GST as if it is one magic wand, people don't realize that the government of India, and along with the state government, in a back of the envelope calculation, requires somewhere around 6 lakh crores. Read my lips, 6 lakh crores of income from petrol products. Now call it GST, call it IR tax, call it MRV tax, call it whatever you want to, but you will have to tax people and collect 6 lakh crores. Now why do you have to collect 6 lakh crores? The next question. Because we have got one of the most humongous budget in terms of putting our money on various schemes and various other so-called welfare projects, and the most important budget that we don't even talk about is the Babudam salaries, which is around 6 lakh crores, which must be the highest in the entire budgetary scheme of things. So this government, when the going was good, signed the 7th Pay Commission, promised a completely inefficient rogue bureaucracy, something like a manna from heaven. Once they gave this, they can't go back. And now when the crude prices are hardening, they are unable to cut the taxes, because if they cut the taxes, they will have to have the subsidies. Then when they have the subsidies, you will have to actually have deficits. When you have deficits, your whole problem starts. Your ratings will go for a sex. You are wedded to ratings. You are wedded to international credit agencies. You have so many things that you're plugged on that will all fall apart. So you are condemned to increasing. I don't know whether what you are going to write day after when you are going to write about $100 crude per barrel. Whether it's going to happen or not, I'm very eagerly looking at it. But God forbid, I know you're not an astrologer, and should something go wrong and crude touches $100 a barrel, that means petrol could be 120 rupees a liter, and you have no other means of reducing it. We have lost the elbow room. I always say this, but I will repeat it. The finance minister of this country has as much elbow room as Jesus Christ has on the cross. So that is my reading. So unless we are going to have elbow room, we are not able to manage these type of emergencies.
So what are the suggestions you have?
See, this government had a wonderful occasion, and the mood was there. In 2014, it could have, for instance, cut down at least 40-50 departments. I don't understand why should we have a textiles ministry. I have nothing against the textile minister, but textile ministry, yes, when we don't even compete with Bangladesh, why should you have a textile ministry? Why do you have a ministry for culture when you can't have something to defend on Sabarimala or Ram Mandir? I for heaven's sake don't understand why should we have a ministry for commerce when after a rupee dropping around 8%, 6 or 9 ministries have written to the commerce minister stating that please boost our exports and suggest something. I don't understand why these ministries exist in the first place. What is the raison d'etre? And I think these ministries could be closed. I think if I were the prime minister, at least 40-50 departments could be closed. 8-10 ministries should be shut now and here. And unless we do this type of cost cutting, unless we compress the government, our taxes will not come down. Unless we bring down taxes, we will not be competitive. It's as simple as that. It's fundamental economics. Nobody understands in this country. Government has to be brought down by 50%. It's easier said than done.
That's true. Now, the immediate question, I mean, the socialist in me is like raging with this question that I have to ask you. What do you do with these people? You can't fire them because they're all, you can't just fire a Babu. Come on now, that is heresy. So what do you do with these people?
Most of them are unemployable. I agree with you. Most of them cannot make a single cup of tea, due respect to all chaiwalas. But most of them are incompetent. So you will have to have a grant. The mother of all reforms is sending these people home with some sort of a check or some sort of a pay, and bring down the entire pay bill of this government by 50%. Do you know, Mr. Iyer? I'm giving you a simple statistics. The government of Tamil Nadu collects 120,000 crores as taxes from 7 crore Tamilians and pays 50% of it, that is 60,000 crores, to just 1.5% of Tamilians as salaries, wages, and pensions. So if I'm not saying all of them are duds, I'm not saying all of them are incompetent, I'm not saying all of them are not required, but if 50% of it can be cut down, the tax rates can be brought down significantly.
Now, here is the challenge with that, MRV. Most of the retirees are growing older, and if anything, they need their pension now because their health costs are rising. So whatever suggestion we are making can only be done proactively, at least so that in the future, these things can be reined in. And I believe in 2004, the employees had to pay 50% into their retirement plan. Is that not true?
All those things, very small amount they had to pay to the retirement plan, and all these things are. Let us not go into individual tax planning and individual issues. Let me actually focus on something far more important. 2001, Yashwant Sinha made a budget, and he said, "I am giving back some 4 joint secretaries or something to the common pool, and I'm reducing the number of staff in the finance ministry by 4 or 5 people." Now that is the last time when we heard of a smaller government or whatever be the tokenism associated with it. But 20 years later, 18 years later, we see a bloated Babudam, we see a completely inefficient Babudam, And we are paying through our nose. We pay one of the highest. Per capita income to Babudam salary will be the highest in the world. US, you don't pay so much. In France, you don't pay so much. In Japan, they don't pay so much. Take the entire developed countries, they don't pay so much as a measure of the per capita income of average per capita income of their citizen. I think the average per capita income of an American is around $40,000, if I'm correct.
Right.
Correct me if
Right.
Now an average bureaucrat in US would not be taking something more than $60,000. But here it is 5 to 6 times. And on top of it, the type of perks, the type of benefits that we give. And I will recall my discussion with you, Mr. Iyer, during the budget time. And I suggested 3 things. Make these Babus go to government hospitals, make their children go to government school, and make them go to offices in public transport. You will see 90% of India's problem getting sorted out automatically.
That's absolutely true. In I think I also said this thing, but it bears repeating. In software industry, especially this started from Microsoft, they used to have this phrase, eat your own dog food, which means
Correct.
If Microsoft developed a new product, first all their employees had to use it, and they found a lot of usability and bugs and things like that before they could unleash it on the unsuspecting public. So I completely agree with you on that. I think it is an important suggestion that Prime Minister Modi should listen to, pay heed to. Let's start by that. I mean, prove that we are committed to reining in the prices, and it is really running away. Thank you very much, MRV.
Thank you.